HOA Karen dumped trash on my lawn. Judge fined her $90,000 and made her clean it barehanded. The first time I saw Karen, she was screaming at a delivery driver for parking too close to her mailbox. Her voice, sharp and grating, echoed through our quiet suburban street, turning heads and drawing curtains. Karen was the self-appointed queen of the HOA, a woman in her late 40s with a penchant for control and an uncanny ability to make everyone's life miserable. Her pristine lawn, her perfectly trimmed roses, her immaculate driveway, they were her badges of superiority. But I, Daniel Harper, a single dad and high school teacher, had no time for her petty tyranny. I just wanted to keep my head down, raise my daughter Lily, and tend to my modest garden of wildflowers. Started with a note. A crisp, passive-aggressive letter slipped under my door, demanding I remove the unsightly wildflowers from my front yard. They violate HOA standards. It read, signed with Karen's flourishing signature. I ignored it. My wildflowers were Lily's favorite. Planted them herself, her small hands patting the soil with care. They were a burst of color in our otherwise gray routine, a reminder of her late mother's love for untamed beauty. Karen didn't care. The notes escalated to daily visits, her heels clicking on my porch as she lectured me about community standards. I stayed polite, nodding, promising to look into it, but I had no intention of uprooting Lily's joy. Then came the trash. One morning, I woke to find my lawn buried under a mountain of garbage-rotting food. Soda cans, soiled diapers, even broken glass. It reeked, and Lily cried, thinking her flowers were ruined. I knew it was Karen. A neighbor's security camera caught her red SUV idling by my house at 2 a.m., and the next day, she smirked as she drove past. I was livid but calm. I'd learned long ago that anger without action is just noise. So, I called the police, filed a report, and started gathering evidence. Karen, of course, denied everything, her voice dripping with mock innocence at the HOA meeting. "Why would I do that?" she cooed, batting her eyelashes. The board believed her. I didn't expect them to. They were her puppets. But I wasn't done. I hired a lawyer, a quiet man named Mr. Patel, who had a reputation for dismantling bullies. We dug deeper. Turns out, Karen's trash dumping wasn't a one-off. Neighbors whispered about similar incidents: gardens vandalized, mailboxes smashed, all targeting anyone who defied her rules. No one had fought back. Fear of her influence kept them silent. But I had Lily's tears in my mind, her small voice asking, "Why does she hate us, Daddy?" That was my fuel. The twist came from an unexpected ally. Mrs. Delaney, the 80-year-old widow next door. She'd always kept to herself, her curtains drawn, her life a mystery. One evening, she knocked on my door, her frail hands clutching a USB drive. "I saw everything," she whispered. Her backyard camera, hidden behind ivy, had captured Karen dumping the trash, clear as day. More than that, it showed her doing it to others' yards over months. Mrs. Delaney's eyes burned with a fire I hadn't expected. "She called my roses a blight last year," she said. "I've been waiting for someone to take her down." With the footage, we had her. The case went to court and the neighborhood held its breath. Karen strutted in, confident, her lawyer sneering at my flimsy evidence. But Mr. Patel was surgical. He presented the videos, the police reports, the testimonies from neighbors who'd finally found their courage. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with a steely gaze, wasn't impressed by Karen's tears or her claims of being a pillar of the community. The verdict was brutal. A $90,000 fine for property damage, emotional distress, and punitive measures. And then, the kicker: she had to clean my lawn herself, barehanded under court supervision. No gloves, no tools, just her and the mess she'd made. The day she cleaned, the neighborhood watched. Karen, in her designer blouse now stained with filth, knelt in my yard, picking up every scrap of trash she'd dumped. Her face was a mask of humiliation, her hands trembling as she sifted through the rot. Lily watched from the porch, clutching my hand. "Does she hate us still, Daddy?" she asked. I didn't know how to answer. I wanted to feel triumph, but all I felt was a hollow ache. Karen wasn't a villain from a storybook. She was a person, broken in her own way, lashing out to feel powerful. But her actions had consequences, and now she faced them. The cleanup took hours. When she finished, Karen looked at me, her eyes empty. "You think you've won," she said, her voice low. "But this neighborhood will never be yours." I didn't respond. She didn't deserve my words. As she walked away, head bowed, I noticed Mrs. Delaney watching from her window, a faint smile on her lips. The neighborhood felt quieter after that, but the scars remained. Karen moved away a month later. Her house sold to a young couple who planted wildflowers of their own. In the end, it wasn't about the fine or the cleanup. It was about standing up for what mattered: Lily's happiness, my home, the right to live without fear. But the cost was heavy. The neighborhood was divided, some calling me a hero, others whispering I'd gone too far. Justice felt right, but it didn't feel clean. I'd fought for my daughter, but I'd also exposed a wound in our community, one that might never heal. What would you do if someone like Karen targeted your home? Where do you draw the line between justice and revenge?